Hello again, everyone. And I've taken a long break from this, the reading of the Geneva Bible, 1560. And I'll just be honest what some of the reasons are. One is, I guess, I felt caught up in news events, political events, the election. It's a dumb reason to stop reading the Bible. Obviously, we need the Bible more than ever, when there's something as momentous as an election, a new administration, understanding new circumstances politically in the world. But I guess I'll just be really honest, because I think the things I struggle with in reading the Bible or reading it, religiously or regularly, I'm probably not alone in struggling with. And that is, I knew Leviticus would be challenging, right? We've come to the end of Exodus. Those of us who are following along with the 1560 Geneva Bible, the Founders Bible, Thomas Jefferson's Bible, Shakespeare's Bible, the Puritans' Bible, right? It came before, the King James Bible, which is, as you know, if you follow these videos, authorized, definitely had some political work to do at a time of Reformation when, monarchs were being deposed for religious reasons. People had been beheaded for religious reasons. People had been martyred. So the Geneva Bible is this very, very pure translation from the Hebrew. And we've gone through the captivating poetry of Genesis and the really exciting kind of exploration of this relationship of God getting used to humans and kind of explaining what he wants from what he calls a chosen people, which again is a model for everyone, an invitation for everyone, as we've discussed. And we had the really exciting departure from Egypt and Exodus, the rebellion of the children of Israel, the golden calf, the breaking of the first set of commandments out of anger by Moshe, and then the rapprochement with the second set of tablets with the 10 Commandments, and the building of the tabernacle, the building of the ark, these incredible scenes where the people who are left, because remember, the ones who were not faithful to God got massacred. They were deleted from the story. The faithful are in a new relationship with God. They're bringing their jewelry willingly. They're bringing their earrings and their golden bracelets willingly to build the Ark of the Covenant, where God meets with them, a much more inclusive space, as you all remember, than later translations indicate the Ark of the Covenant is. It's a hangout of God and everyone, right? With only one section of it being kind of closed off for priests, the Holy of Holies. Well, I knew that Leviticus is heavier sledding. Just being honest, right? It's not all equally easy to read. And I knew from having sat through many hours of being a kid in High Holy Day services, flipping through the Tanakh, that Leviticus is very technical. And we'll get into that. And it's very much instructions and itemizations. And honestly, I didn't know if I could make that exciting for you, illuminate it for you, tease out the emotionality, the thrill of, this incredible relationship between Yahweh and the children of Israel, meaning as a model for all humans. And I still don't know, right? I've just reread Leviticus 1, and it's pretty technical, but I'm going to just dive right in, because I think that what we found together is that when we trust and we dive right in, we find that there's meaning within the meaning, right? That's not apparent necessarily on a superficial reading. So I'm just going to trust that, it's God's word, and we're going to get things out of this reading that I don't see kind of at first glance. And let's just go ahead and read it. And basically, this is getting into what you're getting into now at this point in Leviticus, is much more of a codification of the role of the priest and kind of the beginning of religion, right? Or the beginning of a monotheistic religion. So there's like, how do you have that, right? How do you have a monotheistic religion? What is a rabbi? What is a priest? At this point, it's a priest. It's not even a rabbi. That came after the diaspora, after the destruction of the Second Temple. So, partly I also have this bias against that, because what's been so exciting about the first 2 books of the 5 books of Moses, Genesis and Exodus, are that they so clearly indicate that God's not really interested in a religion, right? I mean, God's interested in humans and making a family out of humans and showing humans that he wants to be their dad. He wants to be their companion, their mate, their husband, their shepherd, all the things he wants to be to humans. But the first 2 books are really about clearly, right? So much more clearly than later translations. God wants a direct relationship to his children, and any intermediaries are really secondary, or really just like servants almost, right? Functionaries. So, it's my own bias that I knew that Leviticus would get more into the establishment of a monotheistic religion and priestliness and ritual and so on. But let's just do it, because that's what happened, and let's see what God is wanting to explain to us. So we'll start again with the 1560 Geneva Bible. If you don't have a physical 1560 Geneva Bible, they're beautiful, but they're expensive. You can go to now, which didn't used to be the case, genevabible1560.com, and it's a PDF. And it's in, it's not in pre-Elizabethan, 17th century text. It's in, or I should say 16th century text. It's in a modern text, even though the translation or the transliteration is quite accurate. So this is the 3rd book of Moses, called Leviticus. And I guess we should feel proud that we've been through 2 whole books. And this is, again, the editors of the 1560 Geneva Bible are kind of explaining what it is. And that's one of the things that made this Bible so revolutionary, is they kind of tried to explain in really clear language what God was up to and what the Bible's for. And they say, the argument: as God daily by most singular benefits declared himself to be mindful of his church, so he didn't want that they should have any occasion to trust either in themselves or to depend upon others for lack of temporal things, or aught, meaning anything that belonged to his divine service and religion. Therefore, meaning as a result, he ordained different kinds of oblations and sacrifices, rituals and sacrifices, to assure them of forgiveness of their offenses. I knew the 1560 Bible would come through. Well, that makes it a lot more compelling. And the parenthesis says, if they offered them in true faith and obedience, end parenthesis. So here we see that the rituals that Leviticus gets into aren't really for God. They're really for humans. And they're a way for humans to be in communication with God and to know that God has forgiven them their offenses, and an opportunity for them to kind of recalibrate themselves in true faith and obedience in the relationship. Also, he appointed their priests and Levites, that's the tribe of Levi, their apparel, their clothing, offices, meaning jobs, really, conversation and portion. And portion means like literally, what the priest gets, the food or the, compensation that the priest gets. He showed what feasts they should observe and in what times. Moreover, he declared by these sacrifices and ceremonies that the reward of sin is death, and that without the blood of Christ, the innocent lamb, there can be no forgiveness of sins. Well, I'm just making a note as a Jew that sentence is definitely how these Protestant editors, translators, read back into a pre-Christian set of books, the 5 books of Moses, Christian symbolism.
Trump is fully in the process of draining the swamp, but the uncertainty for many is, will he expose the entire pandemic? There is enough public evidence for folks to be concerned who injected themselves in this experiment. If you were forced to get the shot to work, travel, or maybe you just trusted the system back then, Check out this natural solution formulated by Dr. Peter McCullough in collaboration with the Wellness Company. And they just leveled up their original detox formula for $30 less. Introducing the 3-in-1 Ultimate Spike Detox, conveniently consolidated into one capsule, with 4 times more nattokinase, 500 milligrams of bromelain, and 500 milligrams of turmeric root extract. Nattokinase, an enzyme researched for its anti-clotting effects, may work to break down spike proteins. Combined with bromelain and curcumin, it provides a potent blend for detoxification and cellular support. Crafted with 100% natural ingredients, Ultimate Spike Detox is backed by research, offering effective support for your cell's natural repair and recovery. Experience the only formula approved and used by Dr. Peter McCullough, a top freedom-fighting doctor who risked it all. Head to dailycloudhealth.com and use code DailyCloud to get 10% off plus free shipping. Again, that's dailycloudhealth.com and use code DailyCloud to get 10% off. Get back to that pre-COVID feeling.
And because they should give no place to their own inventions, which thing God most detests, as appears by the terrible example of Nadab and Abihu, he prescribed even to the least things, meaning the smallest things, what they should do, as what beasts they should offer and eat, what diseases were contagious and to be avoided, what order they should take for all manner of filthiness and pollution, whose company they should flee, what marriages were lawful, what politic laws were profitable, which things declared. Having declared these things, he promised favor and blessing to them that kept his laws and threatened his curse to them that transgressed them. Well, that's a pretty great explanation, very clear. Chapter 1 of burnt offerings, this is the commentary, for particular persons. The manner to offer burnt offerings as well of bullocks as of sheep and birds. And here we go. Now the Lord called Moses, and spake unto him out of the tabernacle of the congregation, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and you shall say unto them, If any of you offer a sacrifice unto the Lord, ye shall offer your sacrifice of cattle, as of beeves and of the sheep. I don't know what beeves are, and I haven't been able to find out, but I think it's bullocks. If his sacrifice be a burnt offering of the herd, he shall offer a male without blemish, presenting him of his own voluntary will at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation before the Lord. And he shall put his hand upon the head of the burnt offering, and it shall be accepted to the Lord to be his atonement. And he shall kill the bullock before the Lord, and the priests, Aaron's son, shall offer the blood, and shall sprinkle it round about upon the altar that is by the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. Then shall he flay the burnt offering, meaning peel the skin off, and cut it in pieces. So the sons of Aaron the priest shall put fire upon the altar and lay the wood in order upon the fire. Then the priests, Aaron's son, shall lay the parts in order, the head and the caul, and caul is the fat of the intestines, upon the wood that is in the fire, which is upon the altar. But the inwards, meaning innards thereof, and the legs thereof, he shall wash in water, and the priest shall burn all on the altar. For it is a burnt offering, an oblation made by fire, for a sweet savor unto the Lord. And if his sacrifice for the burnt offering be of the flocks, as of the sheep or of the goats, he shall offer a male without blemish. And he shall kill it on the north side of the altar before the Lord. And the priest, Aaron's son, shall sprinkle the blood thereof round about upon the altar. And he shall cut it in pieces, separating his head and his caul, the fat and the intestines. And the priest shall lay them in order upon the wood, which lieth in the fire, which is on the altar. But he shall wash the inwards, meaning the innards, and the legs with water, and the priest shall offer the whole and burn it upon the altar. For it is a burnt offering, an oblation made by fire, for a sweet savor unto the Lord. And if his sacrifice be a burnt offering to the Lord of the fowls, meaning birds, then he shall offer his sacrifice of the turtle doves or of the young pigeons. And the priest shall bring it unto the altar and wring the neck of it asunder. and burn it on the altar, and the blood thereof shall be shed upon the side of the altar. And he shall pluck out his maw with his feathers and cast them beside the altar of the east part in the place of the ashes. And he shall cleave it with his wings, but not divide it asunder. So he's kind of, it's called spatchcocking in cooking. And the priest shall burn it upon the altar, upon the wood that is in the fire, for it is a burnt offering and oblation made by fire, for a sweet savor unto the Lord. So that is Leviticus 1 from the Geneva Bible. Oh, it's really nice that you're all coming to join me here. That is a nice surprise. My cord came out, so I'm going to re-plug it in so we don't get separated or cut off from each other. Pardon me 1 second. It's not so easy. Very, very not easy. Hold on a minute. Bear with me, guys. Everything's falling apart. Bear with me. I know you'll stand by while I fix this technical issue. Oh, there we go. Do you guys ever have trouble with like Mac chargers? They're so heavy. All right. So that was the Geneva Bible 1560. I guess I want to talk about a few things that do come to light, as we go through that. One is who's doing the sacrificing at this very early moment in human religion. Who's doing the sacrificing? Did you notice who actually killed the animals? Go ahead and comment in the comment section. But I will tell you, in case you didn't notice, it's always a little hard to get used to that kind of 16th century English, pre-Shakespearean English. It's you're doing the sacrifices, right? It's not the priest, it's not the rabbi, it's not the minister. There is no middleman. They don't say man, they don't say male, but do they say male? Maybe they do, but it's definitely a member of the community. It's not a religious person. It's no one special, quote unquote. In other words, it's just a person. That person chooses the unblemished male bird or, sheep or goat or bullock from his herd, pardon me, and brings it to the place of meeting. And you remember, so striking to me, because we really don't get taught this, a place of meeting for everyone. It's where God hangs out with the whole community, right? It's not allergies. It's not the same, it's not the Holy of Holies. It's not behind that curtain. It's just where everyone gets to be with God and meet with God, visit with God. And you, as a member of the children of Israel, you take your pigeon, your chicken, your lamb, your goat, and you choose it, you bring it to the meeting place where God is, you sacrifice it. Then the Aaron's sons, who are, this priestly lineage that God has set up, Aaron being Moshe's brother. So the sons are Moshe's nephews, right? They help, right? They sprinkle the blood. They separate the animal that you've killed in a very specific way. They take certain parts of it off. They spread it out, and they've built up, it's quite visual. They've built up fire, right? So like embers, and then wood on top of the fire, which is going to be consumed. And then they put the meat of the animal. They've washed the legs, they treat that separately. They've washed the intestines, I believe. And they kind of spread out the meat of this sacrificed animal on top of this pile of wood. And it's a very specific description of how you make this fire, and how you lay out the pieces of the animal. I would say impressionistically, this is horrible, but I keep thinking of like a barbecue, and how you'll cut a chicken open and kind of fold it open so that it gets barbecued fully on both sides. I guess what this method does is it maximizes the surface of the meat connecting to the fire. And what that does is it maximizes the scent, right? It's not, you're not preparing, this methodology isn't preparing food for humans. It's preparing, the goal of burning this burnt offering is to give God something God can enjoy. God isn't a human being, doesn't eat like a human being, even though at certain moments, as with Sarai, God did show up in human form. You know, Jesus is not the first time that God or someone like God showed up in a human form. In the Judeo-Christian tradition, you know, we've got God showing up, you know, along with two angels earlier and eating with Abraham, as you recall. So we know God can eat, but God is God. God is not going to sit down and eat right now in a human body. So whether it's humans trying to think what would God like, or God actually enjoying the savor, it's always unclear with these rituals, because you really get the feeling they're as much for humans as for God, right? God doesn't really need you to barbecue a pigeon. But it's a way for humans to create a gift for God that they can imagine that a God without a human body could enjoy, a sweet savor unto the Lord. And that's, you know, the impression I get reading this detailed description of how you arrange the meat of the sheep or the goat or the bird or the bullock on top of the wood, which is on top of the embers. And again, I really want to stress, you're the one doing the sacrificing. You're the one doing the choosing. You're the one doing the sacrificing. You're not sitting in church or synagogue writing a check or dropping, you know, a $5 bill as a tithe. You are very actively performing yourself, the ritual, the sacrifice, the offering, you know, that you're giving God. All right. And the priest is just kind of there to help. I really want to stress that. Now let's look at the Hebrew. And there are a couple of words I want to really look at. So, Vaikra el Moshe v'yidaber Adonai elav, and called Moses and spoke, and called to Moses and spoke God to him. Me'ohel moed, from the tent of meeting, lomar, to say, and I'm just like reading the Hebrew to remind you of, you know, how it sounds and what the cadences are, because it's so different from the English. Daber el bnei Israel, speak, and it's the second time you have that word daber, right? In the previous sentence, God diber, right? Bikra el Moshe v'yedaber, and that means to speak. And you remember, davar is word and thing. It's one of those incredible Hebrew words that means multiple things that are related. Like in Hebrew, the word is a thing. It's that concrete. Daber, speak, it's the imperative. El bnei Israel, toward the children of Israel. Ve'amarta elehem, and say toward them. Adam ki yakriv, man, and that's the same word as Adam, as you remember. Adam means Adam, means red, Adom, they're all related. A man, ki yakriv, who draws near, mikem, from among you, karban la'Adonai, a sacrifice to God, min habehema, from among the animals, min habakal, from cattle, umin hatzon, or from the flock of sheep, takrivu et korbanechem, bring near their sacrifices. And in Hebrew, you get this much more immediate sense of what God is asking the children of Israel to do. You hear the words actively, lahakriv, lakriv. It means to come near, takriv, takrivu. Loki's about to go crazy because Brian has just driven up the driveway. So please forgive Loki if he gets very excited. All right. Im ola karbano, if his sacrifice is a burnt offering, min habakar, from the cattle, zachar tamim, a male. Tamim is one of those words I wanted to call your attention to. Tam is pure, right? Tam is also innocent. And tamim is almost an intensifier, like the purest of the pure. So God is saying he needs to take a male, zachar, nekeva is female, tamim, the purest of the pure. And it's translated unblemished, but I think it's more profound for you to really hear the Hebrew. It's This is about choosing the purest thing you have, right? And it's interesting that the best English could do is unblemished, because it doesn't really say unblemished here in Hebrew at all. It says pure, innocent, right? So it's really about don't just throw whatever you've got lying around in the house at God, right? Think about it. Choose the thing that's most pure that you have, because God is most pure and God wants your relationship to be most pure. And here I will tell you guys, I knew the text would open up, but I didn't know how. And here it is opening up. That is so different. Yakriv mikem karban l'Adonai min habehema. An unblemished male will he bring it. Okay, zachar tamim, a pure male. Yakrivenu el petach, yakrivenu, he will come near. And you've got to hear that word keeps being repeated. Yakriv, yakrivenu, it's multiple times repeated. Coming near, coming near. So this is not just about sacrifice and atonement. It's about coming near. It's about coming near God. Now I'm getting very teary. Yakriveno, he will draw near. El petach, toward the opening ohel, the tent, moed, of meeting. Yakriv oto, he will, again, that word, he will draw near. Ito, with the sacrifice. Lirtsono, I wanted you to really hear that. To his desire, lifnei Adonai, before God. Now, ratzon is desire, wishing, lirtzot is to want. So this is saying, yakriv oto lirtsono, he will bring it, the sacrifice, to his desire, before God. All right, so that's not how it's translated. It's translated here, he shall bring it willingly. It's translated in the 1560 Geneva Bible, of his own voluntary will. Let's see what the Leviticus RSV says. He shall offer a male without blemish. See, the RSV also doesn't say purest of the pure. He shall offer it at the door of the tent of meeting, that he may be accepted before the Lord. He shall lay his hand upon the head of the burnt offering, and it shall be accepted for him to make atonement for him. That's a little weird. This doesn't have anything about his desire. That is super strange. This is Leviticus 3. Nothing about it's okay. Nothing about his voluntary will in the Revised Standard Version. I'm just going to let Loki out so that he can go be with Brian. I'll be right back, because he will not be calm. Go ahead, sweetheart. There we go. Until he's with Brian. So that is crazy. Basically, the modern English translation has removed the idea that you choose the purest thing that you have, right? And it's very kind of reductively without blemish, like no freckles, no, its ear is not torn, right? That's not what it says in Hebrew. And it's also removed the idea of your voluntary will, you wanting to be there, your desire to be there. In the Hebrew, there is no doubt about it. No sacrifice, nothing you do to come near God. And again, in the Hebrew, there's all this draw near, draw near, draw near. It's okay, sweetheart. Draw near to God, draw near to God. It's all about your own desire. You have to stay healthy and well at times like this. You know that I often have suffered from mobility issues, and now I don't. Part of my lifestyle is Native Path collagen. So Native Path's collagen formula is made with ingredients that are scientifically developed to increase bone mineral density, support tissue recovery, reduce wrinkles, enhance hair thickness, and strengthen nails. Who wouldn't want more collagen with all of these benefits? So right now, when you visit getnativepath.com/dailyclout, you can stock up on Native Path collagen for up to an incredible 45% off today, plus free shipping. Every order comes with a 365-day money-back guarantee. You can try it risk-free today. It is a single ingredient formula with no fillers, additives, or artificial sweeteners, and it's third-party tested for heavy metals, which makes sure that it's pure and safe. It's flavorless. You can add it to anything. I add it to my oatmeal. You can add it to coffee or smoothies. Its formula makes it more bioavailable, meaning it's absorbed more easily and mixes without clumping. And the best part is Native Path is offering amazing bundle deals, 3 or 6 packs at a fraction of the price of other brands. With over 4 million jars sold, 1 million happy customers, 8,000 5-star reviews, and a 365-day no-risk guarantee, Native Path is a trusted choice, and they offer an 800 number. You can ask any question. A real person is waiting to help. You can join a private Facebook community. I love these people. Share recipes, success stories. So that's getnativepath.com/dailycloud and start your experience of transformation today. Right? God doesn't want it if it doesn't come out of your own desire. You have to want to draw near, with, in the Hebrew, to God, and that's what makes your prayer, your offering, your sacrifice meaningful to God. The pigeon isn't the important thing. The priest isn't the important thing. It's your voluntary desire to draw near. Totally erased in the Revised Standard Version. I must say I'm a little shocked. Let's go back to the Hebrew. And the samach, and he will put yado al rosh, his hand on the head, ha'ele, of the burnt offering, essentially of this, ha'ole, right? The nirtza lo, lekaper alav. And there's that root again, rotse, v'nirtza lo, and it will be, this translated, accepted for him, meaning the burnt offering, the sacrifice, to atone for him. But this is actually lekaper alav, to atone on him, right? Meaning the person who's bringing the offering. The shachat, and he will slaughter. Shochet is a butcher, basically. The shachat et ben habakar, the son of the young bull, basically. Lifnei Adonai, before God. Vehikrivu, and he will draw near Bnei Aharon, the children of Aaron. And you hear that word again. Hikrivu, lakriv. It's like the 4th time they drew near. The sons of Aaron draw near. Hakohanim, the Kohens, that's the tribe, the priests. Et hadam, they'll bring close the blood. V'zarku et hadam, and they'll throw the blood. Al ha-mizbech, on the altar. Saviv, around it. Asher petach ohel moed, at the door of the tent of meeting. V'hafshit et ha'ole ve'nitach ota lin tachea. And he'll cut the burnt offering and divide it into its prescribed sections. And we can skip down a little bit, see if there's anything very profound as a burnt offering. I want to look at this phrase in Leviticus 9, pleasing fragrance to the Lord. Ve'yakrebo, ve'kirbo, ve'charav. And again, there's that root, lehakriv. But this time it's about the innards. Uchra'av yechatz b'mayim, he'll wash in water. Vehiktir hakohen, and the Kohen will cause it to, et hakol hamizbecha, all the offering, to go up in smoke. Ola esha, that's such an isha. It'll rise up in the fire. Reach nichoach le'Adonai. A reach is a wind, as you know. It is also a spirit. And reach nichoach is a pleasing spirit or a pleasing wind. So it's not literally a pleasing fragrance, right? That's a reasonable translation. That seems to be what it means. but it's literally turning into a pleasing wind or a pleasing spirit, right? L'Adonai, to God. Ve'im min hatzon, and from among the sheep, karbano, his offering, his sacrifice, min haksavim, from the, kesavim, right, or the goats, o min haizim, from the sheep or the goats, le ole zachar tamim yakriveno. Are you hearing this? That word tamim is there again. He will sacrifice a male, pure, and he'll bring it. He'll bring it to sacrifice. And lahakriv and yakrivenu, sacrifice and drawing near, are similar roots, right? So there's an echo of the same word, the same root is your sacrifice and you drawing near to God. Isn't that incredible? And the rest is pretty straightforward. And again, these echoes are unbelievable. I hope you can hear them. Down on line 13, you've got that kerev root again. Vehakerev, and this it meaning the innards, but you've got korban, which is sacrifice. You've got lehakriv, which is to draw near. You've got kerev, which is innards, and they're all the same root, right? Vehakarim, the legs, yechatz b'mayim, they'll wash in water, vehikriv hakohen. Are you hearing it? And the Kohen draws near, et hakol, toward all of it, vehiktir hamizbecha, and cause it to go up in smoke. Olahu, rises up, it rises up. Ishe reach nichoach le'Adonai. It rises up, a fire offering with a pleasing spirit to the Lord. Ve'im min ha'of, and from among the birds, ola karbano, arises his sacrifice. Again, that same root, korev, kariv, karov, korban, le'Adonai, to God. Vehikriv min ha'torim, o min bnei hayonah, he'll bring it from turtle doves or from young doves. Et korbano, his sacrifice. I really hope you're hearing korban, kariv, karov. It's the most extraordinary play on words I've ever seen. Vehikrivu, and that's he draws near, hakohen, the Kohen, el hamazbeach, toward the altar, u malach et rosho, he'll remove its head. Now, malach is the same root as malach, or it sounds like malach, which is angel, and melech, which is king. Vehiktir hamizbecha, and unimsa damo, and he'll find his blood al kir hamazbech, on the wall of the altar. Veistir et murato, and he'll remove its crop along with his entrails. Binsata vihishlich ota etzel hamazbech, and he'll cast it next to the altar. Kedma, to the east side. El makom hadashen, to the place of ashes. Visa oto, and he'll vishisa oto, and he'll split it open. Knafav lo yavdil, he won't divide its wings. Vehiktir oto, and he'll cut it. Hakohen, the Kohen, hamazbecha, on the altar, toward the altar. El haitzim, toward the wood or toward the trees. It's the same word. Asher al haesh, which are on the fire. Ola hu isha reach nichoach l'Adonai. It rises up, fireward, a wind, a spirit that is pleasant to God. All right, wow, that is so different and beautiful than the super, super, super boring English translation. I hope you can hear that. It's like unbelievable melodies and repetitions. And it's like, how does Hebrew even do that? How does biblical Hebrew even do that? We're talking about a sacrifice, but it's about nearing and sacrifice and offering, and it's all the same root, right? Kariv, kariv, karov, karov, korban. And you've got other plays on words there, malach, melech, malach, incredible. But overwhelmingly, you've got this kind of, I don't know, dance or poetry of ratzon, desire of the person, the ordinary person, choosing a pure male bird or sheep or goat or bullock and killing it and handing it, over to the priest to help with this, turning it into a pleasant wind, a pleasant spirit for God. Whoa, totally different. One thing you absolutely get a sense of with the Hebrew is that ordinary people participate in the magic of drawing near to God, right? And this is like a deep love offering, like deep love offering, but that it's all about the person. So when I jumped off, I was just going to take a look at the Revised Standard Version of Leviticus 1 and see, what, if any, of that poetry, that sense of the desire to draw near God, the centrality of the individual worshiper is there. And I really don't see it, right? Let's look at Leviticus 3. If this is Revised Standard Version, a modern translation. Again, as I always say, it's a modern Roman Catholic translation, nothing against the Roman Catholic Church. It was just a typical choice of a modern translation. If his offering is a burnt offering from the herd, he shall offer a male without blemish. He shall offer it at the door of the tent of meeting, that he may be accepted before the Lord. Now, that is a very different translation. Remember, in Hebrew, it's lekaper alav, to atone on him, right? And that's the same root as Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. It's a much lower bar, that he may be accepted before the Lord. It really just suggests that the Lord doesn't accept us. It's different from that it will atone on him, which suggests that we're always part of God's family, and sometimes we mess up and we need to apologize, right? I mean, this is just such a blanket, icy, how would you like your wife or your husband to say, oh, I don't accept you, you're not acceptable to me, you need to do this or that for me to accept you. It's horrible. It goes on, he shall lay his hand upon the head of the burnt offering, and it shall be accepted for him to make atonement for him. Okay, that's more accurate. Then he shall kill the bull before the Lord, and Aaron's sons, the priest, shall present the blood and throw the blood round about against the altar that's at the door of the tent of meeting. That's fine. And then he's laying out the burnt offering. If his gift for a burnt offering, this is line 10, is from the flock, from the sheep or goats, he shall offer a male without blemish. And again, you've lost that sense of tamim, innocent, pure, the purest of the pure. And he shall kill it on the north side of the altar before the Lord, and Aaron's sons, the priest, shall throw its blood against the altar round about. And he shall cut it into pieces with its head and its fat, and the priest shall lay them in order, as if that's what it says, which doesn't really, upon the wood that is on the fire upon the altar. But the entrails and the legs he shall wash with water. And the priest shall offer the whole and burn it on the altar. It is a burnt offering, an offering by fire, a pleasing odor to the Lord. So nothing here about a pleasing wind, a pleasing spirit to the Lord. Hey everyone, Naomi Wolf here. How are you doing with your New Year's resolutions? January is here. My start was pretty easy. My resolution was to focus on my well-being, and we all know that the foundation of well-being is a good night's sleep. So if I could do just one thing to improve my sleep and overall well-being, it is taking the number one mineral for sleep, which also helps me personally on so many levels. Yes, I am talking about magnesium. Actually, I am talking about the Magnesium Breakthrough by Bioptimizers. It's 7 different forms of magnesium in this supplement, which are involved in over 600 different biochemical reactions in the body.
Pretty much every function in your body is upgraded when you do take magnesium, from the quality of your sleep for your brain function, metabolism, to your stress levels. And even if your 2025 resolution is not to focus on your health, as mine is, how are you really going to be able to achieve all your goals without quality sleep and stress management support? It's hard to do that. So please do yourself a favor and make Magnesium Breakthrough part of your daily routine this year so you can get the vitality that you need to conquer your dreams. Go to buyoptimizers.com/Daily Clout now and enter promo code Daily Clout to get 10% off of any order. And if you subscribe, not only will you get amazing discounts and free gifts, you will make sure that your monthly supply is guaranteed. Again, that's buyoptimizers.com/Daily Clout, promo code Daily Clout. Take care.
And its blood shall be drained out on the side of the altar. He shall tear it by the wings, but shall not divide it asunder, and the priest shall burn it on the altar upon the wood that is on the fire. It is a burnt offering, an offering by fire, a pleasing odor to the Lord. Again, not a pleasing wind. God, it's really weird, right? Because the actual Hebrew is pleasing spirit or pleasing wind. And then the 1560 Geneva Bible said pleasing fragrance, which is still nice, but this Revised Standard Version is a pleasing odor. It's absolutely the most reductive, and kind of God is kind of a boor in a, wife beater, smelling a pastrami sandwich, while watching television. I mean, it's just so reductive about the relationship between the worshiper, who's in Hebrew trying to draw near, la kriv, and draw near to God and offer a pleasing wind, a pleasing spirit to God on fire, which is quite a poetic thing to do. Versus this translation where it's literally just so technical. Take the dove, make sure it doesn't have any blemishes, it's got all its wings. Take the goat, make sure it's got its blemishes. Hand it over to the priest. The priest will burn it on the altar. It's a pleasing odor to the Lord. And nowhere, I can't stress this enough, in the Revised Standard Version does it talk about desire, and in none of the translation does it talk about drawing near, the nearness. You want to come near. It just doesn't. So that's it. I think I've kind of spelled out the difference in Leviticus 1 in the Hebrew, in the quite beautifully similar, or rather faithful translation, the 1560 Geneva Bible, versus the Revised Standard Version. And I guess just before I say goodbye to you, which invites you more, right? Which invites you more? The one which is about human just longing to be close to God, choosing the purest thing. And remember, flocks were wealth, right? It's like saying, take a jewel, or take your stock certificate, right? I mean, flocks weren't just random animals. They were all the wealth people had. Take the purest goat, the purest dove, the most innocent animal, pure, tamim, purest of the pure, and voluntarily bring it, ratzon, desire to bring it. If you desire to bring it, it will kaper alav, it will atone on you, on him, right? Make this offering to create a pleasing spirit, a pleasing wind, through fire, lifting up to God. I mean, it's just so beautiful. It's like someone who loves you, carefully building a fire and setting a fire so that when you come home and it's cold out and rainy, there's a beautiful romantic glowing fire in the fireplace. Or, someone spraying their favorite perfume in the bedroom before, seducing someone they really love. I mean, it's not exactly like that because it's God. You're not seducing God, presumably, but there is this element in the Hebrew of seduction. I'll really just say that, like, God loves us. God wants to be close to us. Let's make something beautiful that will please the senses of God. and you do it with longing, you do it wanting to draw near, to be closer. Batson, with desire, with willingness, with eagerness, racing to be close through this medium of sharing what you've got with God. It's just totally different. So I'll leave you with that. I guess I would say, the Hebrew, in my view, has a place for us, right? It invites us. We're important. We're central. The priest is just helping out. Our desire is central. Our desire for God, our desire to be close to God is central. It's the middle of the story. It's the heart of the story. By the time it gets to 20th century English, and that's when the Bystander version was translated in the 1950s, and again, subsequently, it's purely technical. It's purely technical. God's weird. He likes you to cut up pigeons in a certain way. You have to make sure the pigeon doesn't have any spots or freckles or, asymmetries. God's going to enjoy the odor. It's you're kind of not that important, and God doesn't accept you. You have to make yourself acceptable to God because you're not always already accepted by God. It's just I'm sorry, I don't mean to wail on this one translation, but in terms of what it does to religion or to the description of what God is and what God wants, it makes the whole relationship seem super arbitrary, boring, technical, and it just makes God seem very petty, oh, God's worried about if there's something a bit amiss with your pigeon. That's not what it's about in the Hebrew. God doesn't care about the pigeon for the sake of the pigeon. God cares about your desire to be close to him. And again, can't stress enough, in the Hebrew, the priest is just a helper, kind of facilitating, like a massage therapist, putting out lotions or whatever. Maybe that's not a great metaphor. The priest is a staffer, like someone who prepares a hotel room and puts out the towels, not a very elevated role, a helpful role, right? But you, the person going to hang out with God in the tent of meeting, and it's not a tabernacle, right? It's a tent of meeting. It's a tent where you meet God and make a pleasing wind, a pleasing spirit with the purest thing you have. You are central in the Hebrew, and your love for God, your longing for God, your desire to be close to God, to have fun with God, to commune with God. God wants to commune with you. That's central. What a different idea, right? What a different idea of, I don't even want to say religion, because it's really not religion. It's really this love story, right? That invites you right in. All right. Do people have questions or comments? Yair Oren says, read Doppelganger. You can. I'm too busy. I don't see any more questions or comments, so I guess we'll leave it there. I'm glad I started out again with this. I was really, again, I wasn't ready to give up, right? But I was definitely in a dry patch. And I do think that happens to all of us. And I've got to say, it's easier to get into a dry patch reading the modern English than reading the Hebrew or the Geneva Bible, the 1560 Geneva Bible. So I hope that as we go on, there will be no more dry patch. I hope each passage will continue to reveal itself. And I guess we'll just take it from there. But I'm glad to see that the message of Genesis and Exodus remains consistent. It doesn't suddenly turn into your wishes don't matter, your love doesn't matter, the religion, the ritual, the intermediaries, everything. No, it doesn't. The same central theme carries on, that you're at the heart of it, and God just really wants you to pick up the phone and say hello. All right, everyone. You can find me on Substack. My Substack is Outspoken. We'll be posting these there, and also on Daily Clout, dailyclout.io. You can please support us, independent journalism, as well as community activities like this, cultural, or you might say spiritual activities like this. I don't know what this is. Literary, you can call it whatever you want. Categories don't really matter. But it does take not just me, it takes editors and social media people and distributors and people who are hosting our website. So do support us, do donate, do subscribe. Really makes a difference. It keeps us independent, keeps us able to bring you this kind of material. And so nice to see you again. Thank you for waiting for me. Thank you for coming to see me. And thank you for tuning in. And I will try to do this regularly. I will. I'll try to be here again tomorrow. Take care. Love you all. Again, you can find a PDF version of the Geneva Bible at 1560genevabible.com PDF. All right, 1560genevabible.com. I believe I got that URL right. And I will see you, I hope, tomorrow. Take care, everyone.